Bill's
Happy
offense
holidays.
is on fire. I don't need to tell you that, Thurm.
No.
And you must have been beaming with an ear-to-ear smile watching the three running backs, along with the two tight ends, pretty much carve up the linebackers and safeties in the passing game. And then, I mean, what this team has done in the low red zone, running the ball and even using misdirection, the Shakir touchdown. You got Cook going out one way on a fake pitch, and then he just leaves it for Shakir coming the other way. And you got Lions' heads spinning around. They don't know what's going where and who's up and everything.
Shouldn't I be on injured reserve too?
Yeah, right. But they really had him looking all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it just looked way too easy all day long. I mean, Joe Brady was dialing it up, and the players, to their credit, were executing.
Yep, man, these guys have been put in some great positions. They really have. So I've been texting Skip a lot about it, and he's just, hey, these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. They know that they need to be at the right place at the right time. And I think with all three of them, man, it's a perfect three-headed monster here. But after like this game, they definitely the best duo back in the league. These guys, all three of these guys. What I'm talking about, all three, and not Montgomery because he's out now.
Right.
Gibbs is going, but these guys
You
here,
think they took over from
they
Detroit
took over
and-
from them from Detroit.
Well, they certainly
and,
did it on a place where you can have the conversation about Detroit because they did
Right.
it to Detroit.
Yeah.
It's been interesting too that this offense. I thought for the first, maybe one of the times that when Joe Brady's calling those plays, it's like we were out ahead of it.
Yeah.
It
Exactly.
didn't take a superlative play, somebody breaking 6 tackles, or it didn't take Josh making some superhuman play, putting a cape on, outrunning the pursuit. They had him. I mean, they schemed these guys running open all over the field, and Josh was hitting them. I thought the over-the-top plays by Josh, the touch passes, were something we haven't seen too much, and I just thought Joe Brady really showed up.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was his best game as far as throwing the deep ball.
Yeah.
Over the year, this whole year, I think this was his best game. And then, you see the one that knocks where he kind of overthrow it a little bit. So I think, tipped it to himself. But this is the best game that I think Josh has played when trying to hit the deep receiver. And I'm just, and another part with this too, man, is that he's so dangerous that Joe Brady allows him to do just about anything. Because that offensive line is doing one hell of a job.
Mm-hmm. How about
their pass blocking, their run blocking. I guarantee before the season's over with, or maybe in the playoffs, offensive lineman going to catch a touchdown.
Yeah. But Eric Wood on the broadcast with me was talking about this too. Back when you guys were playing, you'd have a guard pull to the other side or a center. These guys have tackles pull all the way across to the other side on these pin and pull schemes. I mean, just talk about the athleticism you need in a tackle to be able to execute a play like that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we had guys back when we ran the counter a lot. Big Howard coming around, he's 360 or whatever. So, yeah, but having guys do all this, I'm like, I think you can see it on the quarterback sneak where somehow Deion Dawkins ended up on the right side of the ball.
Yeah.
Where was that coming from?
Yeah. I mean, they were doing that a lot last year. I mean, they did that all day against Dallas, if you remember.
Yeah.
In the primetime game last year.
And it's incredible what they're doing too, because you're usually facing off to your guy, and now you're coming over and blocking somebody else, and they've been all like A+ right there.
Yeah.
There hasn't been anything back there for Josh to be like, oh, I got to scramble now.
Yeah. But on Cook's 41-yard run for the touchdown, Spencer Brown comes from the right side, comes out outside the tight end, and he's got the kick-out block. Like, that's a long way to go.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And he gets the kick-out block. And everybody they just took everybody down. I mean, look at that. Yeah,
I mean, he's coming all the way across. I mean, there's not a lot of tackles that can do that.
No. I think really with this, what we're seeing now, they can do just about anything.
Yeah, they got
really. I mean, there's that defense has to be like, well, I don't know, is he gonna pull or is somebody coming at me?
And you got 9 different guys catching passes. Like, who do you key on?
Yeah, it's really been the best case scenario as to the answer to all the questions we had at the beginning of the season. Is Connor McGovern going to be better down inside? You know, is David Edwards going to be okay coming in at guard? Is Connor McGovern up to it? And then the tackles, can they stay healthy? Can they stay on the field? Are they going to stay healthy like they did last year? What about, then they had Tylen Grable come in and win the swing tackle job. Now he's back in the lineup after losing the entire season almost. All those were, and then can all the guys on the outside, are they going to be better by committee? Are they going to be better with, Shakir, Sanders or Samuel? Who's this Mac Hollins guy, right? We didn't even know him. So I think all the question marks the Bills fans had about this roster coming into the season, it's kind of been the best case scenario.
Yeah.
For all of them.
For all of them. And now fans are like,
let's go. We're a wagon.
We got a team.
Yeah, we're a wagon.
We have a team. I mean, I don't know where their points are as far as I think our best year was 91. But
after the 90 season.
Yeah,
after the 90
and
Super
so
Bowl 25.
I mean, this team, they're on fire. I mean, sure, I don't want the defense to give up 30 points, but if that's the case, let's go all for it.
And I think they did. They went from single high to two high over the second half of the game when they were up 17. So that changed some things down inside, and they made some hay offensively. I said this earlier in the week. The 61-yarder to Amon-Ra St. Brown, where it went through the hands of Bernard, where he got deep on the crossing ground and he snapped it off for a big touchdown. That was the one play that really changed things for the entire second half and gave the Lions, hey, they're going to get back in this, and because now they got a chance because they scored so quick.
Mm-hmm.
That you take that play out of it and make them go the long way. You look up and they get close to 10, and then the Bills go down, score again. It's like they can't get there.
Yeah.
They can't get there. And even so, even with that play, they had to get try two onside kicks.
Yeah. I think even with that game, at the beginning of the game, going back here, we read a lot of stuff about Ed Oliver.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the first couple of plays, whoever was the guard, they were in trouble.
Ed was the first guy off the bus.
I knew at that time, the first couple of series, because they went 1, 2, 3 out, 1, 2, 3 and out. Ed was the guy that was curating havoc. I said, it don't matter. They've already set the tone of how it's going to be all day. Sure, but you give up 38 points or whatever. But they set the tone the first couple of series.
3 and out.
And I'm going to tell you something, Big 91, he heard the talk.
Frank
because there were a
Ragnow.
lot of people that were talking about it. I saw it, and I'm sure everybody else. And somebody probably told him about it. So
that's
it's
why
a perfect time to pick it up because I was like, Detroit, they ain't going to get nothing all day. It was that type of game that they were going to have on the ground. They weren't getting anything.
Coach McDermott on Monday after the game said to the media in his press conference, hey, anytime you guys want to stir things up about Ed again, feel free. Totally fine with it.
Totally
Do
fine
it as much as you want. Concerning point totals in seasons, guys, your 91 team is third all-time for Bills points in a season with 458. The 2021 team scored 483. That was in 17 games.
Oh.
And then the all-time highest scoring season was the 2020 team. Last team to play 16 regular season games, 501 points.
Ooh.
So the team right now has 445 with 3 games to play. I think that's in striking distance. You have a couple of 30-point games, you're right there.
I think you do.
You're right there.
Yeah. But you know what? But really, I know New England hasn't been good in a while, but they still scare me.
They do.
It's just New England, I know they're not coming in with Belichick or whatever, but you know that the hardest scheme that they're going to try to do is to prevent Josh from getting outside.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to. That's how it's supposed to go. He's beating every team on the outside, and you know what? It might work great for the first quarter, but I think after that, everything breaks down.
Yeah.
But you're going to see a different type of.
Yeah.
And they just don't have the team, the talent to do it.
Josh has just, and this group in particular, has demonstrated enough that they have so many different ways to beat. Yes, Josh beats everybody if he gets outside.
Right.
But he can beat a lot of teams staying right in the pocket.
Right.
He can beat a lot of teams just handing it
Hand it
off.
Right.
They can win that way too. And I think they will. I think also this is a defense that will be, depending on the health of the secondary, but if those guys get back on the field, or two of them get back, two of the three that are out get back on the field, they'll start making plays again. And, the defense didn't have a turnover at all against LA. They got one really good one, almost two against Detroit. I think that's where they're going to get back to as well defensively. If they do, then there's nobody going to beat them, let alone the Patriots.
Yeah, I you know what? And I guess this could be a great week or a good week for the defense to get back on schedule. To hold somebody to 13 points or 14 points or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they need that after the last couple of weeks of giving up 42 and 38,
42 and 48.
42 and 48.
No.
Yeah, so I think this is a game
44
where
and 42.
44 and 42.
Yeah, I think this is a game that can really help them if they keep these guys, below 13, below 20 points or something like that. Really make it hard for Drake.
We had a lot of people calling us early in the week saying they're worried about the defense with all the points they've given up, and Steve and I were trying to explain last week's game and the Rams game were not the same thing. I mean, you're at the end of the third quarter, you've given up 14 points to the Lions.
Yeah.
That was not how the Rams game went. And Steve and I were kind of saying, I would argue the fourth quarter, the game's already in hand and for all intents and purposes won, and the defense has given up yards on the field in exchange for time on the clock.
Time on the clock.
They were not playing that way against the Rams. They were trying to climb back into the game. It was totally different, the 42 points that the Lions scored compared to the 44 points that the Rams scored the week before. Would you agree? Like, the defense, the way they played that game was different than this game against the Lions.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I totally agree with your point that they did. Yeah, it was night and day of how the game was played. Yeah, I totally agree with that point.
And the defensive line really kind of, to your point, set the tone and kind of dominated the line of scrimmage against a good Lions offensive line. I mean, Frank Ragnow was pancaked. But, there was one play, I think it was a third down play, and Goff wanted to step up in the pocket. The problem was his center was on his back and in his lap. He had nowhere to step up in the pocket, too.
Ed was crawling at his feet, and Ragnow was like looking over his shoulder at
And Ragnow's a good center.
Ragnow,
he's not
really
nobody.
good.
yeah, they said it. I mean, they said it on the broadcast. Ragnow was considered one of the best centers in the league, and Ed steamrolled him.
Yeah.
Now he didn't do that the entire game, but he caught him
but
on
he's-
that play, but took advantage of it, and it turned into a sack. And the play of the defensive front, and I don't want to overstate it or anything, but on a game when they really needed him, those guys showed up. It's like they knew they had to do it. Ed in particular, to our point, was really, really good in this game.
Yeah, he
and
was.
They had three secondary starters out of the game. You knew it was going to be a struggle. You knew they were going to miss a couple of things. At least some things were going to slip through the cracks, right?
Yeah.
And so the front had to be good, and they were.
And
they really were.
They were good, yeah. I mean, you saw, Taron Johnson, he was back. Trying to cover Coop and the guy on the Rams, that's a tough day. That was a very tough day for everybody that was in the secondary. And you know what? But these guys set the tone, and looking for them to do the same thing, come against the Patriots.
What do you remember about the years when you were playing and the team was rolling offensively? You're shooting for the 1 seed. Sometimes it's wrapped up early, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you got to push to the end of the season. Sometimes you're gonna have to go on the road in the playoffs.
Wow.
What do you remember about how they handled that and how you felt? You took a pounding during the regular season. Tell me about the end of the season and how you liked to be handled by Marv and your coaching staff.
Oh, absolutely. It was. They had best coach in the world, Elijah Pitts, and I believed whatever he said. If there was some
Thurman, you need to take every hand off this week.
Yeah, nope. He'll tell me Monday, hey, we're going to rest you, but I still want you to go through the process of knowing that you're not going to play as much, but I still want you to go through the process and be ready, whatever. And he told me that the one game that I wanted to play against was at the end of the season. I was going against my ex-college teammate, roommate, running back, Barry Sanders, and I didn't play.
I remember that.
But
they won the game in OT.
They won the game in OT.
He won the game in OT.
I was like, man, the perfect time, not the perfect time to sit me right now, because I just wanted, even though we were 2 years at Oklahoma State, I actually played against him, and we were going for the rushing title. And it was out of the window Monday morning when Eli told me, "You're not going to play, but go through, do your regular things." And that
giving him
day,
the stink eye that day, right?
And if anybody knew, we didn't really tell anybody, we just kind of kept it a secret. And you're supposed to keep it a secret.
Right.
If you would have looked at that game and go back, I didn't wear my brace that game because I knew I wasn't playing. I was going through warm-ups.
knee brace.
Yeah, my knee brace. Yeah, but I wore it all the week. But game day, I didn't have my knee brace because I knew I wasn't going to play. So, yeah, just a little.
There's some NFL news coming
You're gonna get
down
From the
fined for
Jets?
that.
Nope. Much to our. They're always good.
We already
for some
went
comic
through that.
relief.
You already
You've been
went through
keeping
that?
track of that.
Yeah.
Madden
Oh, my
ratings, yeah.
goodness, yeah. That's
Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who's got the ankle injury, is expected to play on Saturday against the Texans. So I don't think anybody's surprised by that. It was deemed a mild high ankle sprain, and he even said in his press conference it's not as bad as the one he had 2 years ago. So he will play on Saturday. I think the key, though, Thurm, is knowing they play on Christmas Day 4 days later, he's got to hope he doesn't aggravate it in the course of the game because he's going to have even less time to get ready for the next game.
Yeah, and then playing the Texans.
Play the Texans on
Texans-
Saturday, and they got
Texans-
Will Anderson and
Texans
Daniil
bring
Hunter.
it, right, exactly.
And
He's
then-
not going to be able to sit back
And he's
there.
got 2 lousy tackles.
And then they've got the Pittsburgh Steelers on Christmas.
In
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
with T.J. Watt and Alex Heisman.
Come on.
Hey, come
Let's
on,
go.
baby.
Come on, Houston.
Come
Come on,
on,
Pittsburgh.
baby.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you.
Just give us one more, and
Give
we'll
us
take
one.
care of the rest.
T.J. Watt's
'cause I
health
think-
will be an issue.
Yeah,
but,
you're looking at them and their thrashing. They could possibly lose to Denver too.
Well, Denver's going to
Yeah.
probably
They can-
need that game.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so, hey, baby,
well, that's the thing. You're
and
gonna
turn that 2 into a
all the
1
Bills
right
can
there.
do is win their game
Yeah.
and then watch. But well, they're going to know how Pittsburgh did. But I mean, how Kansas City did
Kansas
against
City, yeah.
Houston. We'll see. You still just got to win your games, and you don't want to get caught by Pittsburgh winning out and then taking you, and now you're the 3 seed.
Yeah, 'cause
and
you got-
then have Kansas City lose in their first divisional round. You win. You got to go on the road instead of having
Yeah.
everybody come to you for the AFC Championship. The 2 seed does mean something.
It does mean something, yeah. So, well, we'll talk about the Jets next week, but
Yeah.
whatever.
We've been talking
I
about
mean,
them all day.
to Steve's point, though, it's not just about trying to run down the Chiefs. It's trying to stay ahead of the Steelers, who are right
Steelers.
behind you.
Yeah, yeah.
And
that was a big
Baltimore and
loss
all
that
that,
they
yeah.
had last.
Yes, that was a big help.
against,
Yeah.
Who they lose? to?
Philly.
Philly. They lost to Philly. That was a big loss for them right there. So.
Baltimore looked dead. They were 8-5 at one point, but if they tie the Bills' record, they'd win because they got the head-to-head to Bills. So
They're 9-5 now,
right,
and they play Pittsburgh this week.
yes, they
So
play them on Sunday,
Pittsburgh, Baltimore.
Saturday.
Yeah, one of those teams is going to obviously lose.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Baltimore is going to beat them out for the division. They're a game back.
Is that game in Baltimore or is it in Pittsburgh? I think that would make a
Hold
difference.
on, I got it
too.
right here.
I think
gonna
that's
take
a
me a
huge
second.
difference where this game is played. Because I
I'm
don't
trying
think
to-
Lamar has really played well in Pittsburgh. I could be wrong, but
Hold on, I got it.
No, Lamar has not played well in Pittsburgh.
Right.
They've lost 8 of their last 9 against
oh,
Pittsburgh.
oh, thanks for that.
And 8 of those, all 8 of those wins have been single-digit losses. And
It's in Baltimore.
and I'll say this, think about this.
Pittsburgh won the
I-
first meeting.
I think that's one of the things that's always bothered Bills fans about Baltimore and Lamar. Lamar doesn't seem like he's clutch. Mahomes does, Josh does, Joe Burrow seems clutch.
Right.
When the chips are down, you need to play. Those guys make that play.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like Lamar does. Elite front runner.
I think he doesn't make that play mostly in the playoffs. I think during the regular season, he makes those plays.
In the regular season, they never have those plays. They're running off and leaving folks.
Yeah, I know, but he's still making plays.
I don't know if
They
I don't know.
lost
if-
18-16 to the Steelers in the first game.
I know. And you know what that game was? They tried to have Lamar Jackson throw the ball more than they had Derrick Henry run the football that first game. And it changed the entire dynamic of it because that's what they tried to do against Kansas City.
Right,
in the
but that's
AFC
what Steve's
Championship.
saying. They
Yeah.
put the game on Lamar to win it, and it didn't happen.
Regular season.
And it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
you
regular
go-
season
you-
term, the guy has never won a playoff game.
I think he won one. I think
He's won one.
Josh wins one every single year.
I get it.
So does Mahomes does. I mean, that's my
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
You got to figure in this league, somebody's going to have that on them.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, somebody's going to have that on them.
It might be Lamar.
It could be Lamar. It could be Lamar Jackson.
I think that's a hole in his resume.
Yeah,
the guy's
well-
a 2-time MVP, and he's got one playoff win. There's something in that.
Yeah.
You can quantify it or describe it however you want. Maybe it's indescribable, but I think it comes down to, when it's time to have a guy rise up and make other guys better. I mean, he's great, but I don't see him elevating anybody.
Maybe this is the year with Derrick Henry.
Yeah, it might be.
Maybe
it might
could
be
be
because
the
it's
year
a
with
different year.
Derrick. It's a different year
for
it's a
them.
different year
And
for
like
him
it's a different
because-
year for Buffalo. It's a different year for them.
Well, that's why I think somehow, some way, they're going to walk down Pittsburgh and take the division from them. Because they're only a game back. They got the head-to-head this week.
Yeah.
And then the Steelers got to go play the Chiefs in 4 days. You know what I mean? And
Good luck with
Baltimore's got they're at Houston the next week,
Houston, okay, that's
and then Cleveland
and
at
then
home.
Cleveland. Yeah, they could catch them.
I'll say this though. There's a game tonight. Chargers Broncos.
That's a big one too.
It's a really big one.
So is the
Chargers are 8-6. Broncos are 9-5.
Broncos are
Broncos
good.
Broncos win, they clinch a playoff spot.
I think
so. 10.
Yeah.
10 gets them in.
I think that's right, but I would have to check.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think mathematically it cements it, but it's like a 95%.
The Broncos go 10-5. They would jump ahead of Baltimore, where Baltimore is at 9-5.
Momentarily, yeah.
Momentarily, they would be. Oh yeah, absolutely it would, because they would beat Los Angeles, which is the team right behind them, and the next closest team has 6 wins. So yeah, they'd be in.
Only thing that
They'd be in if
Only
they
thing
win.
that I know right now at this point that we're playing better than anybody.
Yeah.
We are playing better than anybody. I'm not even talking about NFC. I'm talking about AFC right now. We're playing better than anybody. I think we're the team to beat. Even if we don't get the number 1 seed, I still think we are the best team in the AFC. I think we can go either way. We can play 2 games or we can play 3 games to get to the Super Bowl.
All right,
I think we can win them.
so let me throw this at you then.
They said the same thing.
I know. Is there any team that you would be concerned isn't an ideal matchup for the Bills in the AFC? Like, hey, if I had to pick one team to avoid on the path to the Super Bowl in the AFC, it
Kansas
would be.
City.
It would be. Is it Kansas City over Baltimore? Because I got to tell you, I'm a little more concerned about Baltimore than I am about
I
Kansas
don't
City.
know.
I
think it's Kansas City.
I think it's
They've got
Kansas
that
City.
gene.
I guess at some point in time, Brownie, we got to start kicking that butt.
Well, yeah.
At
Well, we
some
do
point
in the
time-
regular
in
season.
the regular season.
I feel good about that
At some point
happening,
in
though.
time,
That's the thing.
We have to start. It was the same thing with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Tom Brady kept beating Peyton Manning until that one time he
Peyton Manning beat him in his 7th or 8th season in the league. Took him
that long. And the only reason they won that game because Belichick went for it on 4th down
in his own half of the field.
in his own
right.
half of the field.
That's right. And he
So-
did. Hey, that was just that going for it on 4th down with Belichick way back in the day is exactly why Dan Campbell kicked the onside kick with 12 minutes to go. We ain't stopping those guys. We got to get the ball. That was exactly the same. That was the
good
same
luck.
train of thought, and it didn't work
It
either
didn't
time.
work either time.
But you got that's what they know. They got to have the ball back, and they ain't getting
Yeah.
it.
They were
I don't-
treating Josh like teams treat Mahomes. We can't give him the ball back.
Can't give him the ball. He's on fire. He's on fire.
Yeah,
I'm glad I'm sitting over here watching and
the
enjoying
only
it.
team I get it. Baltimore is a difficult matchup. They're a difficult matchup for
But
everybody.
we owe them one.
Yes, and I'll say this too. Is there a team
Maybe
that
more
you
than
don't
one.
mind playing? And I'll say the team that I wouldn't mind playing again is Houston.
I think we rolled right over Houston.
I do too. I think that's a big chip.
Now, don't
Big chip on
forget,
their shoulder.
and I know we got a break here, but don't forget, the last time the Bills played them, Joe Mixon was not in the lineup. He was out injured, and he's back now, and he can run the football. Like, they can ride him, and he's got a history against this team here. We all remember the Cincinnati divisional playoff when he ran for 150?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
Don't forget about that.
that. Yeah, I think we're ready for
Thurm,
that.
good to see you.
Good to see you.
Have a
All right,
Merry
Thurm.
Christmas with the
Thank
family.
you.
All right.
Everybody have a Merry Christmas
Yes.
and a Happy New Year, and go Bills.